My name's Shane O'Brien. I'm from Odessa, Texas. I grew up in an oil-filled town. I'm the middle of three brothers. I attended college in California, which is where I met my wife, Julie. We got married in 1988, June, up in Denver, Colorado, which is where she grew up. We lived in California together for 2 years. Cool. Then we made a move back to Texas. We lived in Amarillo for about 3 years. Then we made a move to Midland. We lived in Midland for 9 years, and during that 9 years, both of our children were born in Midland. Jace, who is 6.5. Then Avery came along a couple years later. She's 4 now, and it's just been really great. Kids just change your life so much. I've known for a long time that starting a church was my calling. It's just the way I was made. It's what I was supposed to do. It's what I wanted to do, and I've wanted to do this for a long time. I've known for a long time this is the direction my life would eventually end up, but I didn't know where. I had no idea where. And I began to make a list and just ask God, show me where you want me to be. Show me the place you want me to go. And I made a list of things out of the country. When I was out of the country, I asked God, is this the place? Is this where you would want me to go? Or do you want me in the States? I began to write down cities like Seattle and San Diego and Denver, Albuquerque, San Diego, and large cities like that, Portland. As I started to really pray about those cities and ask God to really lead, I actually went to some of those cities and spent some time there. Did some demographical studies in several of them, just asking God to show me where to go and what to do. And I began to study it out a little more and really had narrowed the thing down to between 2 cities, and that was Austin and Las Vegas. But I really felt the pull to be in a place that I was familiar with. I felt that God was moving me to be in a Texas town. It was just interesting. Over 4 months' time, I found myself down here in the Austin area 4 times in 4 months, and just began to really develop a love for the place. And I happened to be down here in a meeting, and it was interesting. That meeting was actually in Leander, and I was talking to a guy in Leander there that was telling me that the explosion of growth that was happening there and how many people were moving into this north end. And that friend that I was with turned and looked at me and said, he knew I was looking for the place that God would have me to come and start a new church. And he looked at me and said, maybe you ought to come here. And I don't even think he probably realized at the time that that was like the voice of God to me whenever he said that, and it hit me so strongly, and I couldn't get those words out of my mind, is maybe I ought to come here. So I came and I spent 3 days down here, and I only had one prayer while I was down here, is that God would show me what he wants from me, and that it wouldn't be something that I want or something that I build something up, but it would be exactly what he wants. And I spent 3 days just in as much time of prayer as I probably ever have in my entire life, and just really asking God and keeping my focus and my mind on what he would want for my life and what he wants for my family. And I came to the conclusion late during that time of the events of circumstances that happened that this is exactly where God wanted me. And I drove away from Leander the last day, and about 30 minutes out of town, there was just a confidence that came over me that this was it, and I didn't need to be anyplace else. This was the place God wanted me, and that he wanted to build a church here. I'm real convinced that God builds the church, but he still needs people, still wants to use people, and it's to our benefit that he uses us. And I was just excited that God would use me, and that he would consider me to be, but that this was God doing this, and that it wasn't just what I wanted. So many circumstances have happened like that, and there's all kinds of stories about how God did this and God did that to show me that this is exactly where he wanted me, and this is the kind of church that he wants here, and this is the city, and this is the place out of all the places in the world this could have been placed that I could be, that God wanted me to be, that this is it. And there's something about knowing that just gives you a confidence that this is going to work, and there's going to be a church built here, and I just want to be a part of it. I want to be a part of what God's doing here. And so I really know that it was God leading for this to happen this way.